So in Vietnam, say February is one of the best times to go. Because when I first went to Vietnam, it was in June, summer here in Hawaii. But when I went there, it was monsoon, just bloody awful, rain all the time, mud. It was just really disgusting. But I was surprised, when we flew with the whether by chopper or C-130 or the C-123s. When you look out to be inducted into the Hall of Fame, I thought that was just a tremendous. How should I put it? Not just a privilege, but such an honor to be even nominated. Even if I wasn't accepted, just to be nominated, I thought it was such a big thing. Such a great honor.
Now, this coming month, February, you're going to be inducted into the
It's supposed to be on the 25th of February.
Okay. And is it the Hawaii War Museum Hall of Fame, or
it's just going to be the gallery? It's called the Gallery of Heroes, and it depends on how the weather is. Because last year or the last time they had it, they had to postpone it because the weather was really bad.
And where is it located?
It's in a museum right at Fort Rusi.
Fort Rusi?
Yes.
Okay.
I thought it was a shame. They had spent so much money on the museum, yet it's such a... I don't know how to explain it. I mean, December 7, and it's when the war kicked off, the Second World War. But have you ever been in the museum?
A long time ago. It's on my list of things to do.
There's hardly anything there. If I ran that museum, I mean, there'd be so much pictures, so much more for the public to see. I mean, there's nothing there, hardly anything. I couldn't believe it. They spent all the money on the place, yet the floor is like this. The lighting is so poor. I mean, I almost fell a couple of times. I couldn't believe it. And they spent a lot of money in redoing the museum, but they left the floor as is. And that place could be run so much better. It's right in the heart of Waikiki.
Yeah. Great
attraction
there.
I wish I had something to do with that museum. I mean, I turned that place around. I mean, such an opportunity it's such a big part of history. It's a shame that they haven't really done anything to it.
Never too late.
No, it's not. So I think I'll start talking to some people and see what can be done. But I'm sure if I go to the Navy, I could get some beautiful pictures from them. And there's so many places. It looks so dreary in there. There's nothing in the hallways. It's so dark. I mean, I like to have an opportunity to sit down with. I got a wonderful postcard, in fact, from him, congratulating me. But I never had a chance to really meet him in person. Daniel Inouye. I would love to be able to shake his hand and sit down with him. Spark Matsunaga, who passed away a few years back. He's my hometown boy. We came up from the same place on Kauai. Wonderful man. He's another guy I never had a chance to meet. I heard that, we read it in a newspaper that Senator Inouye's wife wasn't feeling too well. She has some kind of cancer, I believe. I'm not sure how she's doing now, what the prognosis is, but he has done so much for the Hawaiian Islands. So much. Not just for Hawaii, but for so many people, for the United States. Wonderful man. Great veteran.
Are we rolling? Okay. Okay, we can go ahead with this beginning of the tape now. With the intro.
He was rolling?
He was.
Oh, shoot.
I thought you were just going to do about 10 to 15 seconds of a two-shot and then come out here and say, okay, ready in 5. Yes, I do.
We're going to record a couple more seconds.
Okay. Yeah, I've done, I got a degree in it back in '93 and did some television production.
Are you talking about
No,
civilian?
Civilian.
Is that
Yeah,
right?
up in Portland, Oregon. I was a production supervisor for a small station there.
That must have been interesting work.
It's a lot of fun. I enjoy being behind the camera much more than in front of.
Is that right?
Yeah. But yeah, it's fun. That's good. So I try to keep my hand in it. I try to keep air medal.
Two Purple Hearts.
Okay, Distinguished Service Cross, Silver Star, Air Medal, 2 Purple Hearts.
And of course I got the CIB flight wings. Other stuff, but the other stuff is all reserve, so that don't count.
On this camera, stand by. You want to frame up a little bit? There we go. Stand by in 5, 4, 3, 2.
Hi, I'm Matthew Ardies. We're here today with Dennis Fujii, winner of the Distinguished Service Cross, Silver Star, and 2 Purple Hearts in Vietnam. Thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
I'd like to start out today. Just share with us where you were born and your parents and your family and your upbringing.
Well, I was born in Hawaii, on the island of Kauai. I was born March 1st, 1949. And basically my mom's side of the family, they were rice farmers in Hanapepe Valley on the island of Kauai. And my stepdad, he was a mechanic for the National Guard until he retired at age 65. My mom had 6 children, 3 boys and 3 girls. And I attended Waimea High School on the island of Kauai. I joined the military in December 1967, and I went to Fort Hood, California to do my basic training. From there I went to Fort Gordon, Georgia to do my advanced infantry training, and on to Fort Benning to do my parachuting training, jump school. I was sent home on leave and I went to Vietnam soon after. Arrived June 1968, and after going through the 90 replacement at Long Band, I was sent to the 4th Infantry Division in Pleiku, Camp Onari. And I was assigned to the 2nd Battalion, 35th Infantry, which is a brigade from the 25th Infantry, which is a cacti. And I was assigned to Charlie Company on 2nd Platoon, and I started off as assistant machine gunner. Basically, I spent 9 months in the field, and I really became interested in flying. So I re-enlisted back at Camp Onari and became a crew chief on a Huey helicopter, which is the H model.
What prompted you to join the Army to begin with?
Our time was the 60s, and by the time I got into my senior year in high school, the Vietnam War was already going at full scale. It was far past the advisory type of work, and the military was sending huge amounts of men to Vietnam, as well as Air Force and Navy and Marines. And I've had a few uncles that went into the Army, and as a little boy I always dreamed and saw myself as someday being a soldier. So the first opportunity that I had, I went to take the test, and when I found out that I had passed the physical as well as the written test, I enlisted immediately, and I volunteered for Vietnam, and that's where they sent me, basically. I have no regrets as far as joining the military. I'd do it all over again. I thought it was part of a young man's obligation to our country. After all, freedom doesn't come lightly and it doesn't come cheap, and I thought that I should do my fair share. I wasn't going to be one of those that burnt their draft cards, and went to Canada. I mean, to each his own, I don't hate them for doing that. It's just that it just wasn't me. I wanted to serve. I wanted to travel, and I thought it was something exciting to do for a change, so I welcomed the opportunity.
Cool. So you enlisted as an infantryman,
Yes,
and your first duty station after training was Vietnam.
yes.
How did your training prepare you for that job?
Well, we did regular basic infantry and advanced infantry training, but Vietnam was something totally unexpected because there's no such thing as a front lines. You engage the enemy wherever you see him. Could be downtown or it could be anywhere. And basically, there wasn't any place that was 100% safe. The areas that were safe during the day weren't safe at night. And we'd get mortared or rocketed. So we were always within the reach of the enemy, and he always let us know that he was around. As a young man, I graduated, I turned 19, and I became an old man really quick in Vietnam. It really changed me quickly.
What were the biggest events that changed you? What is there an event or a series of events that you think matured you the quickest?
I think getting into life and death situation is what really changed me. And in Vietnam, you not only fought the enemy, you fought the climate, you fought the jungle. And as an infantryman, you never get enough sleep. You're always tired. And it takes a lot away from you. You know, you're not as alert as you should be. And when you're really tired, you tend to make mistakes. Your senses are not as keen as they should be. You're not on your toes like you should be. And you find yourself slicking off when you shouldn't be, and it costs lives.
Self-discipline is extremely important then.
Extremely important. I did some hunting back home before I went to Vietnam, so I picked up a lot of the country. I picked up a lot of the techniques as far as engaging the enemy. It was more like actually you're hunting the most dangerous game out there. You know, he's a thinking, breathing human being, and actually you're in his backyard. And I saw so many mistakes that were killing people out there, and it really frustrated me because people looked at it as just part of the job, but you know, a lot of things could have been prevented, and a lot of it came down from poor leadership, poor morale. Everybody knew that a lot of the people back home wasn't supporting the war, and it was really frustrating to try and do your best knowing that, you know, it's not like the Second World War where everybody's cheering for you and, you know, hoping that you go out there, do your best, and they're behind you. There was a lot of people that hated you for being there, and all we did was, like, I volunteered for the military and I volunteered for Vietnam, but there were even people in my family who questioned what I was doing. You know, why are you there? You think you should be there? And it really hurt me inside. Not so much my immediate family, but some of my relatives. You know, and I said, yeah, I believe I should be there. You know, we're trying to control the spirit of communism. You know, we're offering people a better way of life. But I was very naive, not knowing about the corruption in the government and, you know, the land being taken away and given to the people with money. And it was, it's very political, unfortunately. You know, we were in a catch-22. And it's really hard, extremely hard and painful to do a job when your hands are tied behind your back. Very, very hard. And I tried to do the best that I could, and I knew that I couldn't do stateside duty, and I love Vietnam. I love the action. I love being left alone. As long as you did your job, nobody was on your back. And I loved aviation. I loved traveling, flying, you know, and visiting the different places in the country. Then I got into dust off, which was by chance, and you had to volunteer for it. You know, they asked me if I was interested, and I said sure, not knowing what I was going to get involved in. You know, and boy, it really changed me a lot.
How long were you on the ground as an infantryman before re-enlisting for the
I think it was
crew chief option?
Pretty close to 9 months, I believe. 9 months, somewhere around there. And I had enough time to re-enlist for another year. Instead of going in as a 3-year RA, I would have been a 4-year man. And if you had 90 days or less, you have a 3-month early out from the military, which a lot of the GIs did. They extended it tours for 6 months at a time until they're short enough, then they just got out, ETS home. But I found that stuff to be extremely challenging and extremely frightening. But I loved it, to be able to save somebody, to look into a person's eyes, a young man's eyes, and they are so afraid, and they're depending on you to save them, to keep them alive, until you get to the hospital. It's just so challenging to work with the medics, and life is such a precious thing. And it just tore me up inside to see some of these young men dying from wounds that they're supposed to survive from, not die from it. Many times when they go into shock, there's nothing you can do, unfortunately. And in the back, it was just the medic and I. And of course, we had our 2 pilots up there, but they weren't aware of what was going on in the back. They had their duties to do, their responsibilities. So it was just me and the medic. And I found that to be one of the most challenging and one of the most fulfilling jobs that I've ever done in my whole life. I don't regret one day. I just wished we could have saved more, but unfortunately we only could do so much for the troops. But we tried, we tried. We went in on fire or we were like the postman, rain or shine, we wouldn't turn anybody away. We'd go in without gun cover. We'd go in and get our backside shot off, but we'd go in, we'd never say no. If we could, we would. And I enjoyed that. It's, how do you put it, living on the edge. I found it really exciting. And we got to eat at the hospital. We got to see the American nurses, and it really helped. And it took away some of the ugliness that we faced every day. It gave us some kind of relief. And it was so nice to talk to, these young ladies. I'm thinking, Jesus, man, they see everything in the operating room. They come in country and they're so innocent, and you got to work with this gory mess every day and have to be strong, and do their job. I had so much respect for them. I had so much love for them.
How did your time in the infantry prepare you for your mission in the dust-off?
My infantry experience didn't really come into play until I got shut down in Laos, and I was stranded. The first place I was stranded was on LZ Ranger with that battalion of South Vietnamese Rangers. That was when my infantry experience came in handy.
Now, when did you join the dust-off, and how long had you been with them before these incidents took place?
I got into the dust-off in 1970. I believe September I got in. And in February 18th, 1971 is the day that I got shut down. So I spent a year with the 237 Medical Detachment up in the Fubai, and our call sign was DMZ Dust-Off. And my experience in the infantry came into play when we got shut down, and I was able to use that to assist the battalion commander who asked me for help. Of all things, I was thinking, here's a very, very capable South Vietnamese colonel asking me enlisted for help. He seemed to have everything well in hand. I thought he had everything under control, but I guess he really needed help. So I got on the radio, and I stayed on the radio for, I don't know how long it was, forever it seems, calling in airstrikes, and telling the people who are trying to come in to do the medical evacuation not to come in because they had LZ Ranger already zeroed in.
What were you doing, if we go back to the beginning of that day, that you received the call to fly into LZ Ranger? What were you doing when you got the call?
We had just got finished eating lunch. It must have been about maybe 11:20, 11:30 we got the call. we cranked up as a primary ship, and as we took off, the aircraft commander I just started flying with, and originally he was a gunship pilot, and he just made AC. I don't know how he made AC, but they made him AC. I guess they were kind of short-handed, you know. Anyway, as we got into Laos, we crossed the border into Laos, and he started briefing us on the mission. He says that they have mass casualties, and we're going to go in with gun cover. So as we started entering the Laotian airspace, I looked outside, turned to look towards the back of the tail rotor to see if we had any gunship cover, and sure enough, I saw two Cobra gunships coming online very, very quickly. We had one heavy ship and one light ship that was going to escort us in. What surprised me was, soon after the Cobra gunships came on station, we started taking fire. And the pickup zone is miles away. We started taking so much ground fire. I had never seen it in Vietnam. All the years I was there, I had never seen anything like that. Then we could hear and feel the bottom of the chopper taking hits. The tu-tu-tum, tu-tu-tu-tum, coming out to our fuel cell. Then the blade started whistling. And I told AC, I said, sir, the aircraft is taking a lot of hits. I have no idea how long we're going to be able to stay up here, or if we're going to be able to make the pickup. So we just take it, and we take it easy, and we play this by ear. I'm the crew chief, and I'm responsible for this bird. And as soon as the Cobra gunships came online, they already started opening up. We could hear the miniguns working up, and they started firing the foreign mics and their rockets. So they were already using up their ammunition way before the pickup zone. And then I saw the air burst. Boom, 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 boom. And then they started shooting the big stuff up at us. And I went, holy Christ, man. I mean, we're in for trouble now. We're being tracked. These radar control stuff, they're shooting up at us, big stuff. And I had never seen that before. I've heard stories of, like the C-130s and stuff getting shot at like that, or the fast movers, the jets, but not a helicopter, But Charlie was there, and he wasn't hiding. I'd never seen anything like this in my whole life. You could see him on the ground. And what surprised me was when I looked down to the ground area, I could see all of those helicopters that had been shot down, ferrying the troops in a week or two before. Because I believe the operation started the beginning of February, and here it is, the 18th. And by then, a lot of the battalions had already been encircled, so they were forced to take the high ground. So they took the hills and dug in, and by then they were completely encircled, no place to go. And Charlie started hitting them with recoilless rockets, the 130 artilleries, and mortars. And most of the bases got overrun real quickly. And we kept on flying and taking more and more hits. And I just told the aircraft commander, I said, sir, we cannot continue. We're going to lose this bird. So he informed the aircraft commander of the lead bird on a Cobra gunships, and informed them that we were going to return to base because the ship was badly hit. And they said, Roger, we're going to return back to Quezon. We're going to top up with fuel, and we're going to rearm because it just about expended everything they had. So they told us that for us to notify them if we're going to try another pickup, and they would come online again and escort us in. So here we are returning back to Quezon, and I thought, God, what a relief. I mean, we're gonna make it back home at least, to check out the birds, see how badly hit we are. And without saying a word, Mr. Brown turned the chopper back towards Laos.
No word to anyone.
Not a word to the gunship pilots or nothing. So we're going back in now without any gun cover. And we're taking hits and taking hits and taking hits. I don't know why he did that. Maybe he thought we had a better chance without the additional attraction. But Laos is open. There's no place to hide. And Charlie is all over the place. If it's not 51 cals, he's firing 37 millimeters. I mean, he's got the whole place boxed in. And he knows where the battalions are trapped at. He knows all of the locations. So what he did was he set up, it was like an ambush. All they had to do was just sit and wait, because they knew we had to get the wounded out. We had to resupply the South Vietnamese army, because our job was to supply them with medevac, gunship cover, artillery, jets, whatever they need, but no Americans are supposed to be on the ground doing the actual fighting. And prior to the operation, the President of the United States came on TV and told the nation that no Americans are going into Laos, no Americans will be doing any of the fighting. So somehow we managed to get in. How we got in, I have no idea. We landed, my medics jumped out on one side, I jumped out on the other side. And the South Vietnamese is very small. So as soon as the NVA heard the choppers coming in, they waited. They waited just until we sat down. Then they started pumping the motors in. They wanted to catch us on the ground as we were taking off. So what we did was we didn't want to be on the ground for more than 20, 30 seconds at the very most, 45 max. So we were picking guys up and actually throwing them on board. I mean, flying them on board. We had to, we couldn't take our time. And these guys were screaming because they were hurt, but we had no choice. I mean, we had no choice. And when we had just about the max load, we attempted to take off with the wounded on board. And as we started taking off, one of the motor rounds hit right in front of the chopper, blew out the instrument panel, and the other one hit right back at the tail boom, and we crashed to the ground. And as soon as we hit the ground, I was hit, and I turned and I looked towards my two pilots, and all I saw was the doors fly open. They had the little jettisons next to the door. They popped that, and the doors would just automatically fly open. So I just pulled the armor plating back on one side, and my medic pulled the other guy's plating back on the other side. But what I didn't know was that the assistant pilot, the Peter pilot, had taken a massive wound, on his lower backside, and he was paralyzed from the waist down. So he had to be physically grabbed and taken out of the chopper and dragged on the ground away from the bird, because we thought it would explode. And Mr. Brown, instead of looking for some kind of cover on the ground, because the rounds are landing all over the place. I mean, the motor rounds were just falling all over the place. He popped open the front compartment of the helicopter and started pulling out the scrambler that we had. We had a radio in there that by no means was supposed to fall into the enemy's hands, I guess. But, the bird isn't going any place. If anything, just shoot up the radio. Why take the time to pull that damn thing out? It just doesn't make sense. And he kept on getting hit, falling down. He was a big guy, about 6 feet, 200 pounds. Big guy. They call him Easter Bear. And he'd fall, and he'd get up and try to retrieve the radio, get hit and fall again. And by that time, we'd all spread out in different areas, trying to find some kind of cover from the incoming fire. Me and Paul Simcoe and this other medic by the name of Costello found a bunker, a fighting position, and the three of us managed to get inside and try to get out of the withering fire that was coming in. And about 45 minutes later, a rescue bird came in. But in the meantime, there was both pilots laying out there. We just couldn't get to them. And I was hit, and I told Paul, I'm hit. So he took up my chicken plate, my armor plate, and checked me out. He said, "You're hit, but you'll be okay." And Paul was hit, and he said, "Okay, as soon as the chopper comes in, we're gonna make a dash for it." I said, "Okay." So we waited. We could hear a chopper coming in. So as soon as it touched down, Paul said, "Okay, the bird's here. Let's go." So Paul went out, Costello went out, And I went out, and as soon as I got right outside of the bunker entrance, a round landed right next to it. And a piece of shrapnel caught me right in the eye, and it blinded me temporarily, and it threw me back into the bunker. And then I staggered out, and I could barely see the bird. And Costello grabbed the Peter pilot. No, I'm sorry. Costello grabbed Brown, because Brown was huge. Costello was big himself. And Paul grabbed the other pilot and dragged both pilots into the rescue bird. And I was just so badly dazed, and I was blinded in one eye. I knew that there was no way I could make it from where I was into the chopper. I just knew I wasn't going. And the longer I stayed there and waited, I was putting everybody at risk. So I just waved the bird off, and they picked up and it took off. Minutes later, I secured a PIC 25, which is a radio, and I got on the radio, put on the correct net, and I warned all of the aviators not to attempt any further evacuations because the hail was too hot and it was already zeroed in, so don't set anybody in. And I watched the chopper take off, and I said to myself, they're not going to make it. They're not going to make it. They were taking so much fire. You could hear the boom, 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 the big stuff opening up, the 51 caliber, and all the automatic firing, and they slowly disappeared. And they made it. And then it dawned on me that they were gone, and I was still there. And it scared me. It scared me. Because the enemy wasn't hiding. They were all out in the